Well, in today's episode of Value in My Toy Collection, we've got one more episode with some RuPaul Drag Race memorabilia because we just didn't get it all in our last two episodes. So stay tuned until the end to see what it's worth. Hey everyone, my name's Chris. I'm a full-time beauty pageant director as my career, but in my spare time, I'm a huge toy collector. I've been collecting toys now for over 40 years. You can officially call me a toyaholic. Thanks so much for checking out my YouTube channel. My channel consists mainly of two things: beauty pageants, which I love, and toys, which I love even more. My dream in life has always been to own a toy museum. So it's finally happened. I've bought a building, and now I've got to move this massive collection and value it into the building. We're calling it the Toy Vault because it's an old bank building located in Crystal Springs, Mississippi that actually has two large vaults. So now I'm just going to make a ton of videos and value my toy collection, and then I'm going to make some where I take you shopping with me to thrift stores and flea markets and toy stores to let you see where I find all these goodies. So let's start this episode of Value in My Toy Collection and value some toys. Let's jump right in and start valuing our collection. First, we have this custom-made RuPaul doll an artist from eBay made, worth about $200. She is awesome. All right, and then we have from Integrity Toys, Jason Wu, I believe. We have the RuPaul in the yellow fur coat, loose, worth about $150. And then this loose RuPaul doll with the blonde updo is worth about $120. This little figure that looks like Latrice Royale is worth about $5. And this Out magazine with the Pose cast is worth about $8. And this little Miss Sippy banner is worth about $5. Then we've got another painting of our RuPaul Drag Race characters. These are just some of the most popular characters on this painting, and it's worth about $40. It has a bunch of your favorites right there. And then we have one more original painting with some of the characters from the very first seasons that everybody liked. There's been so many drag queens on this show, but sometimes some of them really stand out and really become crowd favorites. So these paintings are probably worth about $40 each. They're super cute and super colorful. A little badge holder to put all your RuPaul badges on from the different franchises, worth about $6. But those badges are so expensive. I've got all these little trophy pins. These are just little pins you can put on your shirt. We put a lot of our favorite drag queens inside those, but these pins are worth about $2 each. We have 19 of those. I have a RuPaul candy bar worth about $12. Still has a chocolate in it. And this RuPaul cutout, I think it was at a movie store, worth about $25. We have another painting of the season 9 characters, also worth about $40. This season had a lot of really good characters in it, and you kind of see them come back on some of the different all-star episodes, but it's amazing how rich some of these drag queens have become. I saw like Trixie Mattel is worth like, I think $10 million now. That's like crazy money. Good for her though. All right, here's an old book. Danny LaRue, Life's a Drag. This is worth about $7. We have a Dame Edna album that's worth about $12. And a James Mansfield little makeup bag worth about $10. We have a Priscilla drag queen musical ad worth about $5. And then we have the RuPaul doll that is the Kitty Girl pink doll worth $300. Got a couple more RuPaul dolls in the box. This one with the yellow fur coat on is worth about $300. She's one of the most collectible. And then we have the workout RuPaul doll worth $200. And this is one of those we got on that cruise for $10. That was on clearance. Now here's the one I had signed by all the drag queens when we went on that cruise. And the doll was $10, but the doll by itself now is worth about $250. But I had one signed and I put it on eBay for $1,000 and I got $500 for it. So I kept this one. We ended up getting 3 signed. I gave one to my friend Shirley, and then Ray got one, and then I got one. And we sold Ray's, but I'm keeping mine. But like I said, I think it's worth at least $500. I'd have to go through it all and kind of see all the signatures. I can recognize several of them, but some of them are kind of hard to read. So I'd really have to do my homework and go back and think about who was really there to kind of decipher some of them. But again, some of them are pretty easy to read. And then we have this old newspaper clipping that someone sold on eBay where Dame Edna had signed it. And I bought this years and years ago. I just found it in a drawer. I actually didn't remember I even had it, but there's my receipt from eBay. So what I spent about $18 on it, but I figure it's only worth about $10. Then I had this whole stack. There is so much in this stack, but I just don't want to go through all of it on camera. It takes so long, but it's worth about $50 for everything. I have a Lacage playbill. It's worth about $10. And then we have a Dame Edna playbill. It's worth about $10. Well, I think it's more $15 for that one. A Next magazine's worth about $5. And then a Vanity Fair with Caitlyn Jenner on it, worth about $10. It's kind of weird when that came out, so I made sure I bought the magazine. That one's worth about $10. And then I had this. I found in this little envelope. It's a RuPaul Drag Con ticket where RuPaul had signed it. So that's probably worth about, I'd say $10 at least. Have a Dame Edna publicity picture worth about $20. And this little pillow cover of Dame Edna worth about $12. Then we have the large Dame Edna program book from her Broadway show. And that's worth about $20. And it's just full of great, colorful pictures in there. And then we have one more from a different show. I love it. At the bottom it says Precious Program. And that's worth about $20 as well. And then we have some drag queen pictures. Some of these have been signed by the drag queen. That one of RuPaul. And then Pork Chop, they come with their certificate of authenticity. I don't know how much these are worth, actually. So I'm just going to say they're worth about $10 each. Might be more than that, but I don't think it'd be any less. But we have 8 of these. So if we value these at $10 each, that'd be another $80 we can add to our overall grand total. We have Jinx Monsoon. Had some of the better ones. I don't know. I think I went through a stage where I wanted to collect the drag queen stuff from RuPaul's. Here's a Dame Edna picture worth about $5. A Ginger Minge, probably worth about $10. And then Ross Matthews, that's worth about $10. That's pretty cute. And then this is a Latrice Royale one that's been autographed. All right, we've got this giant rainbow boa, probably worth about $25. And there's our helper Daisy, the cutest dog in the world. Some miscellaneous stuff. We have a vintage Kristen Dior feather hat. And we're going to say it's worth at least $100. But on eBay, they go all the way up to $200 and $300. My helper is so tired. She is sleeping, so we're just going to let her rest. Here's the cabinet we had everything in. And it's probably worth about $200 for the cabinet alone. We're trying to value everything to see what everything's worth as we move it to the toy museum. And several of these cute little vases of glass flowers scattered throughout the curio cabinet with all of our drag queen stuff. And they're worth about $6 each, and we had 7 of those, so that's another $42 we can add to our total. We value everything to see what our grand total is going to be. Got a couple of vintage posters. This one is one of the first world tours they did, and it shows all the different countries they went to, especially in Europe. They really went to a lot of places, and I figured the poster's worth at least, I'd say, $8. And then from season 2, here's one of the original posters from Logo when it was on that channel. And it's also worth at least $8. Could be worth a lot more than that, but I try to stay realistic when I add all this stuff up. All right, from our favorite drag queen artist, Chad Sell, we have several of his postcards, 7 of them. They're worth at least $2 each, so that's $14 more we can add to our total. And then we have a couple little Out magazines with Bianca Del Rio on it. They're worth about $5 each. And then behind here, we just had tons of these original pieces of artwork from Chad Sell. And we bought frames for all of them, and the frames alone were $10. So I think these are worth about $25 to $30 each, but I'm just going to value all of them at $15 each because I don't want to overvalue everything. So we have 36 different paintings, and at $15 each, that would be another $540 we could add to our total. I can remember a lot of these characters. I'd have to go look it up to remember all of them. This one's easy because it says it Detox, and I know that's a Dora Delano. He did, like each episode, if they did something memorable in the episode, he would do a painting of it. That's Chad Michaels during the political one. I remember that. That's Sharon Needles with all the cats. And that's Raja from her entrance look from season 3, I believe. That's Alaska and Nebraska from one of the challenges, probably season 5 or 5, I think. Bianca Del Rio. I can't remember that one. Maybe Manila. Now, this yellow one is Manila Luzon. I know that for sure. And then this is Sharon Needles' finale look when she won. That's Latrice Royale. And then Manila Luzon in her famous pineapple dress. I think that's Kim Chi. I'm not 100% sure. That's Jinx Monsoon. And that's Alaska. And then Chad Sells started signing a lot of them for us. That's Bob the Drag Queen. I can't remember who that is. Maybe Courtney At? I'm not sure. I'd have to look that one up. And then this is Alaska's commercial she did with the perfume. That was so funny. I think this is Kim Chi. I don't remember who that one is. If you know, let me know. That's Bianca Del Rio. And then that's Ginger Minge, one of my favorites. I think that's Binda La Creme. And then that's Bianca Del Rio as Judge Judy. I don't remember. That might be Trixie. That's Chad Michaels and maybe Gia Gunn. I can't remember. That's Violet Chachki, Binda La Creme. And then Chad Michaels in the giraffe print. I did pretty good remembering most of them. All right, then we have some RuPaul Drag Race Iron Fist shoes. He comes up with everything. Books, pictures, shoes, DVDs, anything he can sell. They're worth about $50. Then some miscellaneous stuff. This tin sign is worth about $12. That's super cute. And then these vintage frame girls with real material, they're worth about $15 each. I got those in Alabama at a flea market. Our Grams doll is worth about $20. Says it's simple to be wise. Just think of something stupid to say and don't say it. Good advice. People like you are why people like me are on medication. Amen. They're both worth about $20. That tassel is worth about $8. And this cool painting we have on the wall, I think we're going to take it to the toy museum because I just love it. It's probably worth about $25. We have this little Haute Couture sign. We'll probably put with some of our mannequins at the toy museum. It's probably worth about $10. And this old vintage hair dryer I got at a flea market. I'm going to put it on some kind of display there. It's worth $20. That's what I paid for it at the flea market. This is just miscellaneous stuff I had down here on the floor I need to value. This big frog pen is worth about $10. And then we've got some ladies' black gloves, probably worth about $2. Got that little mat that's vintage. It's worth about $5. Made out of rubber or silicone or something. Marilyn Monroe brush worth about $2. This vintage brass mirror and brush set, it's worth about $15. And the cameo mirror is probably worth about $10. And then this giant embossed cameo celluloid vanity box is worth at least $50. I got that at a flea market. And look, it's got a hat pin in it. All right, let's see. We've got these vintage 80s jewelry boxes, and one of them was my mom, so I'll keep it forever. Those are worth about $20 each. And then we've got just a ton of stands we're going to use at the toy museum at the flea market part, worth about $20. Got this really pretty mirror we made with all this old jewelry on it, and it's worth at least $60. Got a lot of old vintage jewelry, little container boxes we're going to put jewelry in to sell at the flea market. Probably worth about $20 for all of those at the most. And then this really pretty vintage jewelry box with the ballerina and the pink velvet. It's worth about $20 by itself. I got this at a garage sale when I was about 7 years old, and I've had it that long, 53 now. That little flower is worth about $5, and a little mouse is worth about $2. And this was my grandma's big mouse, probably worth about $6, but I love it. Got a lot of albums to go through. I did not look up all these albums because it's so many. But usually when we value, there went Daisy, she was trying to help. When we value these albums, they usually average between $9 to $18, depending on how popular it was. So I just don't feel like adding all these up because we have 45 of these albums. So we're just going to do a $10 each on these albums, a $10 price each on these albums. So with 45 albums, that'll be about $450 worth of albums. These would take a long time to sell because people would really have to love that particular artist. But I don't know, when I get ready to sell my toy museum one day, I might sell some pieces individually, but it'd probably just be a lot easier to sell everything as a whole to kind of keep the collection together. But I'm hoping to keep the toy museum going at least 10 years. It'll be located in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. It's the hometown I grew up in. I went to high school and elementary school there. And I moved away. I moved to Flowood, which is about 30 minutes away. But I kept my old house down there to keep all the toys in. And as you can see, now we're packing it all up to move it to the toy museum. Got these little bitty 45 records. We have, I think, 3 of these, and they're worth about $5 each. And then we have one that doesn't have the sleeve, but it's a Stevie Wonder album, which I love him. So it's probably worth about $2. I just called to say I love you. Then we have a couple 8-track tapes. I think we have 3 of these, and these are worth about $5 each. Here we'll just flip through the last few albums we have. These are all vinyl. I love that Dolly Parton 9 to 5 album, one of my favorites. Just so many good ones. I've picked these up throughout the years, going to garage sales and flea markets and thrift stores, and I usually didn't pay that much. I would have to say I probably never paid more than $5 or $6 for one, but a lot of them I got for $1 or $2 throughout the years. So a lot of people collect them. I think I had a pretty good eye of picking out a lot of famous celebrities, ones that really become collectible, but there's just so many good ones. There's no way to display these at the toy museum because we just don't have the room, so they'll probably just all be in a stack. But who knows, maybe in about 20 years somebody will go through these and be like, oh my god, look what they have this one, they have that one, like this one, look how cool that is. That has to be worth more than $10. But anyway, I've got a stack of them, and I'm gonna value all of them in my grand total. So with our previous 460 videos of value in my toy collection, our collection was worth $1,149,732. And then when we add this video with the remaining RuPaul Drag Race memorabilia we had and all this miscellaneous stuff, including the albums and other stuff, we can add another $4,191 to our overall grand total. So that means for episode 461 of Value on My Toy Collection, our new grand total is $1,153,923. Now remember, I'm not really a millionaire, maybe a toyonaire, but I've just been saving toys all my life, going to garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, toy stores, and looking online, and it's just accumulated to that big old total. Maybe one day I'll sell it all, who knows? So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos as much as I am making them. I'd like to see what all I have and what it's actually worth. I'm putting all the toys on our Facebook page, which is called the Toy Vault of Mississippi. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please think about doing so because it certainly helps us grow the channel. So until our next video, we will see you then.